This conference will now be recorded.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
We're in business. Board,
I am
and what is your name?
Dirk Cedergren.
Derek, I'm Mary Goplin.
Hi, Mary.
You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Troy Ness. Hi, Troy.
Hi, Dirk.
Welcome,
Nice to meet you.
welcome, welcome.
Dirk is the new council liaison.
Okay,
Took over for Chris Horvath. He's the new Chris.
that's what he said. He was in the newbie seat, so.
Yep. When a new council member comes on, they sit there and then after a while, they move down one and another one.
Punishment for being on the council.
It's the award for being late for a meeting, I guess.
I guess, you never want to miss a meeting.
No.
Mm.
By that one.
Okay, it's 1800, so we can go. Call the meeting to order. There is an agenda in front of us. Are there any additions to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, B,
Covered Bridge Festival Committee, Brad Nord and Holly Snyder are here. So
Yeah.
that we can review the new business.
and we need that E disc golf.
And this is under new business then?
Yeah,
Festival, I just added this was in my days, so this-
Oh my gosh.
How's everybody doing?
Good. Okay, so under new business, we have D, Covered Bridge Festival, Brad and Ellie, and then disc ball, and then what else? Okay, okay,
let's see.
yep. Okay, is that it then? Okay, motion to approve the agenda with additions.
I will motion to approve the agenda with the additions.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes from June 6th, 2022 are in the packet.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second,
I'll second.
are we ready for a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Accounts payable, also in the packet.
Provide an explanation of the dugouts and the restroom.
Yep, that was the concrete for the footings for the restroom and the floor, and then the dugouts are the concrete.
dugout with the benches.
You remember the big one?
I don't like, yeah, I'm not sure. I think the dugouts were, I want to say 5 something, close to 6. I think.
We ended up going back and increasing them for the addition to come into the fence line. There was an amendment or something that he talked about.
These chemicals, are they for the pool?
Yep.
Okay.
They are, Mary. And then we have a winch assembly kit that's for the pool umbrellas, which they get cranked up and then the winch breaks.
So did we have damage to the bathrooms that needed to be repaired?
The bathrooms down here. We did, and we were, that's under compensation from, we had the individuals clean the bathrooms and they were to pay for the repairs on them.
So that you don't have to worry about paying for that out of our budget?
It'll come back in when it's refunded, but it could be a while.
Okay, okay. All right, do we have a motion to approve accounts payable?
Make a motion to approve accounts payable.
I'll second.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, unfinished business, priority list updates.
Have there been, we went through the priority list and I didn't get, so I don't have the list, I apologize. We went through your priority list, I just wanted to know if there were any other changes. Mike and I could probably talk.
We could kind of combine that with 6A if we're talking about the priorities. Because Mike said, I'm going to talk about the bathroom and what's left to be done on that yet.
So I think the bathroom, there's this, I think the way I understood Fred was coming up in August, they'll get them built. The building materials are ordered through Gherkins and they'll be coming. And then we got the, that should be it, I guess, as far as the bathroom.
But I think one of the things that we have to, I think and then again, I'm putting this in with the finance discussion, but I think our process has gotten really balled up. I feel Mike and I have been talking about it within ourselves and we don't have a good handle on what's out there for bids and what's not because we haven't been bringing it central. So I just want to reiterate that I don't care what projects you do as long as you as a park board vote on them, but they need to come in with one bid with all the items. For example, the bathrooms, we did not know that water bid or for the plumbing would come in that high, and that is not for fixtures or the internal plumbing or anything yet. So we need firm numbers when we go to it, because when we get audited, we have to have those numbers in place. So it's really important that we have it, and any change orders that come up, they have to be approved. I mean, that's kind of how it works with city council too. If something changes, we have to have that approved through city council before we can make those changes. which for you guys drags on a long time because you only meet monthly. But we really need to, I think, tighten up that procedure. And is there anything else you want to add, Mike? And keep a really good focus on what you want to do, because there's so many good projects that you could do. But you have to figure out which ones are your drop dead ones that you aren't going to get rid of, and which ones are like, man, that can go down, that can wait. So
I think just with that, just a couple items that, and they're not big ticket items, but they always come up as like these bench donations. Well, we end up pouring the concrete for them, so you're always going to have some extras come into place that way too.
So then with that, then do we need to be voting on to pay for the concrete, or?
No, we kind of approved that with the bench. I mean, that's all included with the bench donations, but it's just always keep in the back of your mind that there, there's some extra cost included with that.
exactly.
We get the benches, but then we end up putting the concrete slabs, which we've got, and that one bench down there from the well banks, that one's going to be reimbursed to us by the well banks. We have one up there in the trail again, we put last week that they'll donate the bench, but we've donated the concrete.
Okay. So there isn't a priority list included in the packet.
I thought there was, Mary, and I do apologize.
Okay. Can we get one in the packet for next?
Absolutely.
And then we can kind of get things burned up.
Yep.
And then do we need to have more clear defined steps sending out, asking for bids, and how we approach them and say the bid has to be presented to the city hall, then to come to the board for approval?
I think that's what we would like to see.
Typically, right, and then we usually go out and get a couple bids.
Okay.
We like to get the research.
So
Would you like us
is
to
the board, are the board members the ones that are asking for the bids, or do you guys ask for the bids? Who's going out and asking for bids?
Typically, we
Okay,
A couple of projects have gotten a little turned around,
a little
so
muddy. Okay.
perhaps we could make a list of kind of the procedure and then present it to you as a board, and you can have any questions or comments or changes that you would like to see.
I think that would be nice, just so we have a guideline of how to go forward with it. Does that make sense?
Because we want you involved, of course, but then it gets a little bit, when the audit comes around and how was this bid and who bid it and what were the other bids and that type of stuff. So, not that we want to have more things for Mike to do, but if he handles the kind of the bidding, you guys come up with the projects and then what we want, and then maybe he can handle the bidding. Or if you do get bids, get together with Mike, talk about it, talk through it. So we've got a good handle on what they are.
Until the bids are in, clearly.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else with the priority list?
No.
Okay. Pool update?
Okay, so we are now over a third of the way done with the season. It's kind of a weird thing because last month we were just opening. So I had started with 20 guards. I'm down to 17, which is typical, which I feel like is a decent amount. We just started our second session of swimming lessons today, and it went great. Last night we did have Zumba, aqua Zumba for the first time. Trisha Miller is teaching, and it's Sunday nights and Tuesday mornings for the month of July. We had 30 people attending last night, which was awesome. It was super fun. I was up at the pool while it was happening. I had somebody call and say, "Hey, is everything okay down there?" I said, "Yep, we're just having Zumba." So it was a little loud, but it was good. But it was fun, and everybody seemed to enjoy it. It worked great for Trisha, and she's coming back tomorrow morning. Beyond that, I guess I don't have too much. Anybody have any questions?
I have an update on the paint. I did talk to Busby's.
Okay.
They're not willing to donate the paint, but they are willing to donate the expense supplies. So any of the consumables, which would be the rollers, the trays, the things like that. If the park board would buy the paint, they would donate the rest of the stuff. And then Ann and I were trying to coordinate times and just got away from us. So I told her we can wait until after this meeting to determine whether or not the park board wants to spend. So it would be 4 gallons of paint at $50 a piece down at Busby's if we want to paint the exterior. And he strongly suggested that we pressure wash the outside of the building first, because he said if it's not clean, it doesn't stick. So if it's not pressure washed, he said it could literally flake right off.
We have a in-service next week, in the middle of the week, where the guards just come in and practice some of the skills to keep fresh on them. And so we were kind of trying to connect and find out if maybe that might work that evening to then, after the in-service piece, have the guards help. Because almost all the guards were like, yeah, we want to help. So we're working on that together. If that's what you guys want to do.
What night was that?
Either Tuesday or Wednesday. I haven't firmed it up for sure yet, but next week. Yep, the teens of July.
Do we have a pressure washer, Mike?
Yeah.
Can we get someone to do that?
We could do that.
Just for that? Or we could now?
I say I can go up and do it we could work on it the day before or something, just so it dries off.
Yeah.
Or I can have them wash it that night and we could paint it another time.
Yeah, just a couple hours and that should be dry enough to apply. It's just a latex water-based paint. He said any latex water-based paint will stick to concrete as long as the concrete's clean and not dusty or moldy or whatever.
Okay.
So he said just a quick pressure wash over the surface and it should stick no problem and be sufficient.
All right.
But it's approximately 1,300 square feet, just the exterior of the building, everything in that regular blue. So that would be 3 1/4, 3.5 gallons, so 4 gallons of paint. And then he said his latex paint ranges anywhere from $40 to $50 a gallon. So even at $50 a gallon, at 4 gallons, it's $200, and he would kick in all the incidental little consumables. Or we could continue to try and farm something out and see if Ace wants to donate or do something else if we wanted to fundraise for the paint thing. Totally up to the park board whether or not they want to do that.
We practice that right now then, that would be our bid, and then we're gonna vote on it right now.
If it's under a certain dollar amount, you don't have to worry, but when it gets into the above 1,000.
Well, another thing to consider is, I don't know how this works necessarily, but Trisha with her thing she's paying for with Zumba, she's paying us to use the pool during that time because we have 2 guards on. But she also is donating a certain percentage of her registration back to the pool. So I don't know if that has to be, can we just use it for something like that? I mean, that could help. I don't know exactly how much that's going to be, but by the end of July, 30 people at $10 a head, that's a decent amount of money, one class. So I don't know if that will help cover. I don't know how much it will be in the end, but something to think about.
Supposed to be 92 degrees next Tuesday.
All week above 90 next week.
As will you.
Yep.
All right, well, how do we want to proceed?
Fancy motion for $200 supply of paint and Busby's, and have the supply for us, that's a good deal.
So motion for $200 for paint, second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Opposed?
Motion carried. All right, campground grant update.
Yes, we received a notification on June 14th that they completed their review of the fiscal year 23 outdoor recreation grant program applications. They received $12.5 million in grant requests for an available $5.2 million in funding. So lots of requests, and unfortunately our application was not selected this year. So we spoke with Audrey about that, and she wrote back and said the application was complete and well-written. For the review, some areas of concern were sewer service to campsite is not eligible. The sewer would not be eligible for this grant. The statement of accessibility was limited. It does not address how the facilities will meet ADA program requirements, including the number of accessible campsites, etc. The site plans scale is difficult to determine if access walkways are provided to all existing and proposed facilities. So that'll be something we need to take a look at if the park board decides to go back and apply again next year. we'll study that a little bit closer and get something better on the plan, see what kind of a surface that might have to be, slopes and things like that. Says the park boundary needs to include the trailhead area across the covered bridge. So we had a DNR grant to do the trailhead, and it just makes sense that this is included within the boundary of the park up here. So we can fix that too next time. And then she said that the site plan was not signed, but it was just on the next page. So we can clarify that pretty easily too. So just a few things that they were looking for. And at one of our park board meetings, we'll decide if we're gonna apply again. I believe that CETA will redo the application for us and tweak it based on the fee that we had last year. Usually they said they would submit twice. So, but we can discuss that next meeting or meeting after sometime this winter to get it back in if we decide to do that.
It's disappointing, but next year then. All right,
There were more not approved than approved because it was 12.5 and there's only 5.4 million. So
Yeah.
They say they took them in order of what they considered priority versus when they were received, or there was no inkling to that?
nope, they didn't mention anything about that. I can ask that question. That's a great question. I'd like to know that.
Approved any ahead of the deadline, like they had already consumed a majority of the funds and only had a small reserve left. If we got in earlier, had it had a better chance of being passed?
No, I don't believe they review any of them until the deadline has passed. And then they look at the merits and.
I had a conversation with
Audrey, yep.
She said get it in like early
Oh, did she?
winter. That was a year ago.
Okay, okay.
I could not talk against Brian like that. That's how it's just a stack. Are there any plans this year that we could address? Anything that we can do? We had 100 grand we sat on, but now we got to sit on it another year and wait for the grant to match it. Do we want to address anything with that or keep the money and not spend it for the grant next year? Of course, that would be the thought that I would think everyone feels.
Right. And then if the sewer wasn't eligible, is that what would we want to spend our money on with the assumption that we are going to go forward? Or do we want to reconsider the entire motion without the grant money? Are we going to proceed versus?
Yeah, we'll have to maybe have the sewer looked at again, maybe get an updated cost on that and then see how we can break that out, what that cost would be. Because if we can't have it within the grant application, then that'll be park board money to pay for it outside of the grant even. So, correct. So we'll have to figure that. We'll put together some more numbers and bring that back with some options. We'll get together with Jesse Preston again, WHKS, and kind of mull things over a little bit and then bring something back to you.
And just to be clear, they wouldn't cover the sewer, but having a sewer wouldn't kick us out of a DNR grant in the future.
No.
No, okay.
No, it wasn't the sewer itself. It was just it's not eligible to be paid for
Okay.
by the grant.
Okay.
Which is strange. You think if you short yourself, the first thing people are going to do is dump it in the river if they weren't following the rules. So you'd want the sewer in there, but.
Mhm. Okay, any other discussions on the campground grant? Okay, new business. Kim, anything more with finance?
That was it. Sorry, I
Okay.
took it out of order.
That's okay, that's fine. All right, then there's a letter here for campground weed bug spray request.
So I've had a company reach out and they want to do some work for a couple, I think they have a couple of seasonal campers there. They spray for weeds and I think mostly mosquitoes, but we've never had that request before and I'm not sure it's actually maybe appropriate down there. Just based on the fact that you got pets and stuff, I have no idea what the chemical is that they use.
Yeah, I'd have to get a full chemical readout before I decide.
A safety data sheet or something on that.
suppose if we had a outbreak of malaria or something, we'd have to think hard about that, but nothing like that pressing out of normal.
And then it would be nice to get a consult too. I mean, that close to the river, is it going to be that effective? I mean, if you do it in your yard, it's one thing, but if you're, less than 100 yards away from the river, are you really going to be effective towards the mosquitoes and different things?
What are the other options that we have ever? Well, I think that, I'm not sure, but more stuff that, I think there's stuff that people hang in, Kim, stuff that people hang in trees or.
More of your personal space kind of things. I mean, yeah, that's what I do at my cabin. I mean, I hang stuff or I use a personal space
I think
thing.
something that you can just buy locally at the hardware store. I know that's not as invasive probably.
Did Holes say it was the majority of campers requesting it or just a couple or?
No, this was actually a contractor that called me.
Oh. Gotcha.
And he said he was looking for 2 seasonal people.
Sure. So the request didn't come from any of the seasonal campers or anything yet? Okay.
I think we can just, I can't see.
I would agree with that statement.
We can make a motion.
I would make a motion that if they really want the business, they come back with some more of the requested safety data stuff, along with some of the actual effectiveness that close to a river to try and win the business. But otherwise, I'd say we pass, especially since it's not being brought up by the people using the campground.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the effect on pollinators and.
Yep. So if you want to give them that feedback and if they want to take another swing at it.
I don't even think you need a motion for that, Troy. Just to, that's the feedback you can take back to them.
Right. So the motion is just to provide the feedback to the company that we would like to have more information if they do want to proceed. Otherwise, we're going to pass.
Second? All in favor?
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, dog park discussion.
Well, after the 4th, there was a lot of discussion on social media about the dog park. And Katie, are you here to talk about the dog park?
Yeah.
Okay, so Katie, if you want to just kind of, yep, come on up. We can grab you a mic here. Oh.
So I guess the biggest question, I grew up kind of around here, but we've only lived in town for a couple of years now. And I guess the question, the big thing is there a spot to put one is the first barrier that I've heard of on social media. So I guess what are the options for location? Does the city own anything that is a feasible location, or would we need to try to fundraise enough to buy a location?
I can speak to a couple things. The park board in the past has looked, or the city has looked to purchase land. And of course, every time the city comes to look to purchase land, the price tag goes up, as we all know. So, and also some of the land we've been offered, for what we've been offered, the price has been exorbitant, or the land's been really, really wet. Now, sometimes it's great to have a dog feature, but I don't think owners really care to take their dog to a mud hole every time they go. One of the things we've been entertaining, and this is not a formal thing, it's just Mary and I have talked about it. I wasn't even the one who thought about it, somebody else. I can't remember who thought about it. And I did reach out to the fair board. We're going to try and get on their agenda this fall because they have a large plot of land adjacent to the city. It's already off a tax roll. So we're not talking about taking a piece of land that could be a commercial value or a residential value. And maybe we can work with the fair board to either fundraise for fencing or something like that. My personal opinion, this is not as a staff member, but my personal opinion as a pet owner is that I'm more than willing to fundraise for a park. And I think that we should maybe come and then ask maybe for some help later on with maintenance or something. But I really feel that would be a really great thing. We want it, but we're willing to pay for it. So grandma down the street doesn't have to. So I've talked to Chuck. Yeah, I talked to Chuck and he said after the fair, they
Yeah,
would be willing for us to reach out to them. They just don't have the time right now with the fair coming up in August.
perfect.
I think that between the fair / 4-H, that would be a very good partner.
Mhm.
Right, and the other thing, you know, 4-H has the dog project,
Mhm.
and then there's already parking there,
Mhm.
and, you know, maybe there's some waste management that can be combined type stuff too.
And that, you know, the agility portion of it with the 4-Hers would be awesome. So
Well, and then the 4-Hers could have, because right now they go to Cannon Falls.
exactly. And I mean, to be honest, I personally don't feel like a dog park that's of city lot size is worth having. I mean, if we are going to have something large for the dogs to go, I don't feel that it's really worth it.
I
So
think we need something.
I think it'd be a really great partnership if they're willing to do it. And I think we're going to have to put together a presentation. So if I could get your information
Yeah.
afterwards and we
Yeah,
could
that'd
get
be
together and
perfect.
do a PowerPoint for them, I think we could look at insurance costs for them and all these different costs. So we could come together and show them what's available and then maybe get people involved.
Yeah, and then they do some good fundraising too, just with like Helpins, and I wonder if we could combine some efforts there too.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Katie, do you want to read?
Yeah.
Is there anything else, guys? Disc golf. I forgot disc golf and Covered Bridge Festival under new. Yep, there we go.
We got to do
Okay.
those too.
D&E, here we go. Covered Bridge Festival Committee, Brad and Ellie.
Hi. I'm Holly, and this is maybe know Brad too. We are part of the Covered Bridge Festival Committee, which is a little group this year, taking on the new adventure of the festival. And I guess we are here to present or ask for permission to hold the festival in the Covered Bridge Park. So the date of the festival will be again in the fall, like we did last year. We did get feedback last year that that was a desired date, but also just with our committee coming together and whatnot, that's working out best for this year. I don't know that that will continue necessarily, but this year, September 17th and 18th is the date. And yeah, essentially most of our events are looking to be really held in the park space, in the green down there. So I'm not sure what all we need permission for, but those are the dates and that's where we'd like to be. And I can kind of go on what our needs are from there. You tell me what else you need to hear.
Is there anything drastically different than previous years that would be in addition to?
No, I'll give you kind of a lineup of things. So last year, the vendor fair and all that was a little bit closer to the hockey rink on that side of the, you know, if you got the driveway, we'll call it. So on the right-hand side, we're actually thinking of going on the left-hand side now where the soccer goals are. So more of that large space. And then having those kids inflatables on a little bit closer to 58 and on the bridge. But again, everything's still on that left side with the hopes of hopefully doing some more sporty things over on the hockey rink side, we'll say. So again, events include the vendor fair, food trucks. We do have confirmed horseshoe tournament, but looking at potentially basketball and volleyball, which would be down there. A car show, which we had in a farther space. So I think we're going to try to do that same spot again. It would be a 2-day event versus just a 1-day that we had last year. And last year I know that we set up on Friday too. So I don't know if that technically considers us a 3-day event because I know we did some setup early. Yeah, and then parking would potentially be somewhere. I think last year they put people way down in the back end. So that would be the only other thing to highlight as a space needed.
Vendor parking in the back of the park and public parking on across 58.
Yeah. So I know that the vendors is who we specifically kind of pushed in the back. I don't think that we opened
Park
that.
Road was closed.
The what?
The Park Road was closed because of pedestrian
Food
traffic
trucks.
and the
Yeah.
pedestrian traffic.
And we are trying to put the food trucks not up on that area, so there wouldn't be that necessarily need for closure. I guess I had that on my list of road closure, and I was curious what that meant.
So, but you're gonna have things on both sides of the roads, right?
Yeah.
And so you're gonna have people moving back and forth.
And actually, we were thinking of having the fire truck and the police cars and all that up parked in that
Up at that
roundabout area too. So
Mhm.
essentially, yes, I think it would be
Safer to close
safer to
it.
close it, really, yeah.
Okay.
So yes, public parking out across the road.
Is there a makeshift crosswalk we can have with cones and
There's one where the bike path crosses right there, the walking trail. There's one there, but you could, yeah, cone it off or make it even a little bit more accessible if you wanted to. Because getting up out of that area where the field of flags normally is,
Mhm.
the only real way to get out of there is using the paved bike trail.
The nice
Especially
way,
like for
yeah.
like a vehicle or anything like that. That's the only way to get in and out of there unless you're gonna drive all the way down towards the disc golf and come back in on the grass. So for the vendors, if they need to load and unload, that's gonna be the best accessory for them. Like on the other side or by
No.
the hockey rink, they can drive right out there.
Could they, I've got all these makeshift drawings. So let's say the vendors are setting up at the soccer field. Can they just like keep driving towards disc golf and park, or do they have to exit and then go back down? You know what I mean? Does that grass stay flat and they could just carry on and keep parking back there?
It's flat. I don't see issues with that.
Right,
Because I think it's all flat.
correct, it is.
Okay.
Whether little holes or not.
Yeah, and that's the side that we're thinking. So if, in theory, nobody else is going back there, they could just
Correct.
carry
And it
on.
is definitely flat. I mean, they got the second soccer field is further to the west, heading back towards the back of the park there. So once you cross the bike path, if you will, it's very flat back there. And then on into the disc golf.
this is a great idea. Why was it absent for a couple of years at least?
It wasn't, so it got canceled with COVID, which everybody kind of canceled that year. Last year, it was postponed because of COVID. So normally it's in June. And since there was still kind of some restrictions, I think they early on just postponed it to September. So hence why this is a new fall festival, but it's still essentially the same old festival, just a different timing.
Kind of bounces off the county fair, right?
Yeah.
The harvest.
It's, I think there's definitely been some positive and negative feedback I've heard about timing. You know, some people like it to be in June when all the other ones do because, you know, fall's too busy with school. And some people really like the breakup of the fall because there's nothing else going on and it's, you know, kind of unique to have that season and June's too busy. So I think you definitely always hear that everybody's got an opinion one way or the other. But this is where we are right now. So we're excited about it. And so far we've got a lot of great things lined up. It's just we had to officially get approval to be there.
It's the Covered Bridge Park. We should be excited, right?
Mm-hmm.
Promote this bridge.
Yeah.
Is there any cultural vendor we can reach out to, something like the Turtle Lake tribe or anything like that? Shooting it out there.
In what?
Weird question, I know, but like, this is our park, you know, but maybe we could have a thematic cultural reach out with it, you know? It's Covered Bridge Park for all of everybody, and then reach out to vendors that represent that.
That's an interesting idea that I can put on our idea list. Oh, jeez.
I didn't mean to throw that out.
Whew. I guess that was veto. That wasn't a good idea. That was okay.
Yeah, otherwise, totally promote the pool fundraiser. We should have a booth.
Yeah, so there's lots of, I shouldn't say most, but many of the downtown businesses or local businesses do booths like Zach and whatnot to promote their stuff, which is nice.
That's okay with you.
Yes.
To ask that of you too.
Oh, no, yeah, that's in there, yeah.
Don't forget to add pickleball tournament to your lineup. The pickleball is
Do you wanna run
pickleball's
it?
all ready to go, right, Mike?
I'll put it on our ideas list. So we're thinking about cornhole in
Right.
addition.
Pickleball would be, I feel, wonderful.
Well, just to promote the new area down there that's all painted, things you could potentially see what kind of interest you get out there.
So,
Even if you didn't do a pickleball competition, if you just have people down there teaching people how to play pickleball.
so did the hockey rink just get painted pickleball? Is that what your pickleball?
Like the front, yeah, the front third or whatever.
And did
that
you
is.
just say basketball?
Half-court basketball in the back.
Yep.
Okay, because that's on my list too. Once this was hopefully okayed, was potentially having a 3-on-3 basketball tournament on the hockey rink. Is that cool?
The hoop should be up and ready to
So
go by
those
September.
those two posts are hoops.
It won't be a full court.
Well, what I was envisioning while I was waiting for permission was portable hoops or whatever those are called. Is that an option? I don't know if it need to be on the grass so we don't scratch anything, but
Well, more than two, because these will be lined and everything. Like,
Yeah,
there are lines out there.
I guess depends on how the turnout of our tournament. But a 3-on-3, I think 4 hoops would be probably ideal to keep things moving. Again, if there's interest. But it's possible.
Bringing portable ones out.
Okay. Oh, that's so, you just don't like cars on that. Is that correct from?
There's also the other half court.
Well, my reservation is that Brad has the veterans, we didn't mention that. There's a veterans dedication to the memorial going on that weekend as well. So that's kind of the open house, if you will, for their memorial that's just new. And so that's going to be going on in the morning. And I didn't want to have sweaty old men next to, honorable old men enjoying the memorial. So the basketball ones will be displayed.
They can come up.
But yeah, that is another great option. I think the rims are a little bit more questionable. My husband says that one. But. So I think that concludes our motion needs. Anything else that you can think of?
I just want to tell everybody that the Veterans dedication, Memorial Site dedication will be 10:30 on Saturday, the 17th of September. And I'd like to invite all the park board members to come up there. What it take us 4 or 5 years to get that site approved. And just a lot of time spent looking at different sites around the city and finally picking that one. It was a great site. It is a great site.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I'd like to invite everybody to come up there for that dedication. Because of the park board, that site is there.
What excellent imagery. It's beautiful.
It is. Those flags show off really well coming in on 58. You can see those from the top of the hill.
Yeah, I think hopefully by that day, we'll have the granite pieces are coming from India. They're supposed to be coming in August with one will say Zambroda Veterans Memorial. The other one will have their 6 branches of the service etched in the granite. That's what them 2 foundations are up front there you see from the street. And we're going to have by then, hopefully, the railings for the steps and the approximately 14-foot high bell tower in the center of the star. So, and yeah, so that hopefully them things will be here by then.
Blacktop tomorrow.
What's that?
Blacktop tomorrow.
Parking lot will be having by tomorrow.
Where's that
I saw them
going?
out there today. That's cool.
So yeah, it'd be great if you guys could come. Like I said, it took us 4 to 5 years to get to this point. And it was because of the park board that we picked that site. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, do we need to have a motion to let them use the park or just, okay?
Well, I will motion to allow the Covered Bridge Festival on the weekend of September 17th and 18th.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The park is yours.
Thank you. Do you need any more updates? Or is there anything else you'll need from us as we go, or
I would say stay on the agenda until that
Yep.
just come back
Just
every month
keep coming
and
back,
give you
yep.
some updates? Okay.
August, September. Yeah.
I think the only other question I had was about electricity. I think somebody told us there was an extension cord that could maybe go, but that was one of our questions about having music down in that, basically on the, where that soccer goal is. So we would,
How did we do it last year?
There is electric right at the pole for the lights and things like that, so I don't know where a lot of the vendors and stuff
The
probably
pole-
drew power from.
the pole being like the flagpole at the entrance?
Usually the vendors have to supply their own power just because the vendors, like for the crafts, because there's just not enough plugins.
But there's
Um,
a box right up along.
Yeah, so we weren't gonna advertise that we had it. It would only be for our live entertainment, which would be connected to a speaker and,
And what side?
the soccer field side.
So that would, we don't have much on that side. That would probably come from the bridge somehow.
Somehow.
So there is an outlet in the bridge that we have used for like when we illuminate the field of flags and things
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
So we run extension cord. That's literally from the north end of the covered bridge and then run along extension cord, which is a soccer side. So it's that side of the river.
Because we were thinking the cancer, the luminaries, that, whatever that's called, that used to have some sort of power, relay for light?
Yeah. I definitely
Yeah, so we
wouldn't
would-
advertise it, but it is there to be used if you have a need.
Yeah,
But
so we
it's,
have generators for like the bounce houses, and then the food trucks, we've told, have to do their own, so.
Yep.
It's only for our band.
You know, when they have them cancer fundraisers for years and years, they always had a trailer down there with a band or speakers and that power coming from the covered bridge.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think so.
Because that was year after year they had that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. We're very excited.
Rivets brought in, outhouses?
That would be up to the festival. That would
Okay.
have to bring those.
Yeah, we'll probably have to buy them. Unless you wanted to donate them.
No, no.
Will the bathrooms on the hill be functional by then, I'm assuming?
I have no idea.
I would think that's the goal before September.
But the ones below will be,
Yep.
which are closer. And then what we've done in the past, we've had hand washing stations and porta pots on the road because that's the level of spot to put them where you don't have to worry about things. So
Mhm.
Exciting.
Thanks, yeah, it's
There's
good.
also going to be a parade Sunday at 3:00.
Great
from,
Sunday.
Jefferson, East Avenue to 4th Street.
And a live band Saturday. But I don't know. Anyway, that's gonna be right here, hopefully. And there's a varsity football game going on that weekend, so
Somebody told me that was Friday.
they did get it to Friday?
That's what I heard last.
Okay.
I'm not
Because that
sure.
was kind of a weird timing to have a noon.
And we're going to have it on Saturday because of the referee. They, they're having trouble getting referees. But then I heard the other thing, it's Friday, so I'm not
Well,
sure.
that would be good.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Just go.
Loud noises are not good for me.
I have no idea what that is.
Anything that's like out of the ordinary and startles me does not end well.
I have never, worked here 16 years. I've never heard that.
Oh my God.
Ever.
Well, being a CO, like anything out of the ordinary, I'm like, what? What do I need to do?
We had a line malfunction, so call the fire department, they're coming in, it's just a malfunction.
Oh.
Reset it, so.
Not one of us moved.
Here we go.
I was just saying loud noises being a CO is not a good thing.
Tornado alarm.
Brian, can you get an email for me
For,
Friday?
I did, yeah, well,
I
we
just want
got
to
it.
make sure it went through. so.
Yep, we got it, we're gonna wanna get together as a staff. And then I've got a card for Terry Johnson.
To go for bedtime or I'm totally stage free.
And then a card.
Oh, there's the fire department.
And I didn't get your name. I just have to.
It's just never a boring or dull moment when it comes to the park board meetings. It's always a
Nolte
good
with
time.
an N?
Yeah, Nolte with an N, like Nick Nolte.
Oh, there you go. Got it.
Do I need a microphone or anything?
You can
or-
use this one if you want.
Yeah.
You go with it.
All right,
What is
so.
your name again? I'm sorry.
Michael Nolte. So, yeah, I was unfortunately unable to make the last meeting, which was a little bit of a bummer. Had some things come up that afternoon that I had to take care of, and so, but I am here now to kind of give you an update on how the event went and kind of a detailed map of what the course could look like and how much it would cost and other things to help offset those costs so that basically you're not spending any money on the course in a sense. So we had the Sombrota event about in May, I believe it was like May 29th or something like that. I cannot remember the exact date, but we had a good turnout of 32 people. So that was very good to have just some people coming out. And they all loved the course design. They loved the variety. And we kind of designed the course for that temporary event to circumvent the majority of like the playground, everything like that, to use spots that weren't within pedestrian traffic or the soccer field, things like that, just to kind of keep all of that away so you're not having to worry about pedestrian traffic or things like that, which was super great. They enjoy that. We had pedestrians walking around and they can just walk without having a fear of being hit by a disc or things like that, which was great. And so but a lot of people loved the course and they were definitely super excited about the potential. I know Kirk, he was with me last time we were here. He couldn't make it tonight, but he lives right behind Cover Bridge Park. He's just, a couple of minutes away. He's so pumped for the idea of this. And so, so I gave you out 2 handouts for right now. So one of them is the course costs, like how much it's going to cost. And the other one is kind of the course map idea. I know it's not marked with like landmarks or things like that, but that's kind of just a general rough outline of where the course would take place, trying to circumvent a lot of the playgrounds and things like that, just making sure to not be in the way of anything. We had one hole where we were on the other side of, they would walk across the covered bridge, and there we had a tee pad kind of off to the left of the entrance if you're facing this way, and you throw across the river to a basket within those kind of trees, and people really loved that shot because it kept the covered bridge in there, and they're like, this is cool to be able to walk across the covered bridge, throw across the river, a very short shot of about 125 feet. And be able to go and just be like, wow, that was fun. And so that was one of our favorite spots. We know that could be something that might not happen. And there are plans in place if that is not allowed or if that's something that we can't do, that we can move it somewhere else and have the same result. But that was one of the things we had out there as well. And it was very nice to see that people really enjoyed the layout. For the most part, we played on all the beautiful park mowed grass. We incorporated the original 9 holes in their basket locations, and the majority of the ways that people used to play them, play them now, the original 9, and keeping the same kind of lines and things like that, so people can still get a feel of the old course, but also be able to use it in a way where you can combine it and have a full 18. And so that was, I think, Kirk, he's been playing the 9 hole for a very long time. He's like, it was a really good way to keep the old spirit of the course within it. And so that was something that we were really trying to do. We were also just really excited to be able to put on an event and put out those baskets. And so that being said, I have the course cost, the little invoice thing I said, that's just like the kind of idea of what it's going to cost. Because all this things I purchase are sales exempt, sales tax exempt, because I am a business owner and I have that sales tax exempt status because I am a wholesaler. And so all these prices are without tax, including everything that we have here. And so we have $200 baskets, which normally cost about $300 retail. For 18 holes, that'd be $3,600. You have tee pads, which would cost $50. They cost about $125 retail at 18 of those for $800. You have tee signs that are $15. The sign is only, this is what the sign looks like. It's very big, very easy to read, easy to understand, has, you know, what it looks like, has the rules for the holes and stuff like that. And it also has 2 places to put sponsors. So that was the way you could kind of get back the money that you're putting into the course by having these sponsors on these tee signs. You could have, because the total cost for a basket, a tee pad, and a tee sign on like that hole is going to cost $250-ish. I would take out the tee sign costs because the tee signs are 10, and it's just much more easier to say, let's split 125 instead of 135 or something like that. But anyway, so you have one sponsor pay 125, the other sponsor pay 125. That covers the entire cost of the hole. So you're not even having to, in a sense, you're not going to lose any money, and you're able to incorporate local businesses into this. And I don't think 125 would be too much to ask a business for a sponsorship. I don't know. I've never done that before. And then there's one main sign that's like the big sign that they have out right now, which is going to cost a little bit more because it's going to be a custom-made metal sign that's going to have all the bells and whistles. But as you can see on the little piece of paper right here, there's a lot of open space to put sponsors. So having a big sponsor here and here, you basically have 2 sponsors and they pay $75 each to be on the main sign. And so they basically cover the cost of that. And so in the end, you'll see labor and fuel. What I meant by labor is getting the volunteers out here and feeding them and giving them the stuffs like, you know, pizza, drinks, things like that. And that's, we have right now about 25 people committed to coming out and volunteering for a couple of days. And so that was going to be able to kind of cover like the cost of just feeding them and giving them, you know, just refreshments and things like that while they're out there in the sun, you know, putting in the course. And then fuel is because we, instead of paying $900 for shipping, because they have to ship via, you know, semi trucks with how big the baskets are, I have a big enough truck to go down and pick up the baskets at the manufacturer's company and their distribution center, which is in Porter, Kansas, so about a 7-hour drive. And it's about $200 worth of fuel to go down and up, which in comparison to $900 for shipping, it saves a lot of money there. So you're not having to pay for that amount of shipping. And so overall, the total would be $5,220. And in comparison, we have another course that was built up in the city by another famous course designer, Kaliviska, the one I talk about a lot. It's called Buck Hill. It's like Buck Hill, I think, ski hill. They put in a 18-hole course and they paid Kaliviska, I believe, from what I was reading, it was $50,000 to put in that course. That's just because, you know, when you put the name Kaliviska, designed by this or designed by that, it brings a lot of people in, you know, and that's kind of what they're paying for, is the name brand of Kaliviska coming in. So in comparison, this is just covering all the costs. Nothing is going to me or anybody else in that sense. It's all going to the course, and we have volunteers to put it together. So there's basically, because that's the goal, is to build the sport and build courses. And honestly, that's the fun part about it. And that's what I enjoy and really have a lot of satisfaction, is just, you know, allowing people to play the sport that I enjoy. And so that's kind of the overview of what the cost is. And the map, I'm going to pass this around. This is a a $9 sign that is made by 3M. It's a very strong plastic, and it has its laminate that lasts for up to 10 years in weather conditions. And so for $9 is very, it's not like a metal sign, but I don't think you need a metal sign to do the same thing because metal signs cost about $25 per sign in comparison. And so you're able to have something that is affordable, cheap, and most importantly, is easy to replace in the sense that if somebody decides to vandalize it or things like that, I mean, that does happen, unfortunately. Nice things, people want to not have nice anymore, so it's just something that can happen, but it's fairly easy to replace. And the materials that cost and stuff like that, it's super affordable. So, and then any questions or things I can answer? Yes.
What do you attach the sign to?
Well, you attach, so it's a post, and that's included in the cost. So yeah. So you have the $9 sign, and then you have $6 for the post. Just a simple 3-foot post with a slanted angle, so that this T sign sits on that. And then you have a nice little short piece of plywood from a big piece of plywood that will cut out, and then will go on that as a backing. And so then it's able to keep it together. And we have people who are going to volunteer to donate like weather protection for like the sign and the post. So it's not going to be, it's not going to rot or even go bad or like that. It's going to be able to stay and be preserved. And so I know we have some people who are going to come out and do some specialties and things like that. Like for the tee pads, the turf, that's cost, which is kind of like if you were to go to a football field, and that's very similar. We get a use, and so that's really why it's so affordable. They come in big pieces, about 120 square foot per 120 square foot by 10 foot. So basically around 1,200 square footage of turf for about $500, which in comparison, if you wanted to buy new turf, it's very expensive. But the thing is, you get to reuse it and redo that. Also, there's also different possibilities. It's cheaper to put concrete in. I have people who are within the community who know how to put concrete slabs in, and it would cost about it would go down from $50 to $30 for the concrete, because all you're doing is now paying for the concrete in a sense and the framing around it. So other than that, so that's cheaper. That's an option as well. Also, there's more expensive baskets on the market. $295 is another one that's mid-tier, and then you have $350, which is like the top tier basket. I don't think you need those baskets because those are they're the same thing, except they have maybe a different kind of, instead of zinc coating, they have like some other type of coating on their chains and things like that. But in all, they all survive in the outdoors. And so, yeah. Any other questions or things that I can answer? Or
So does this map include the current 9 holes that we have?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes. So I know it's kind of small and there's no landmarks, but this is where the pool is, kind of up here in this corner.
Yep.
And then, so it keeps the original 9 holes.
Okay.
As much as we can. There's basically one hole that's changed to kind of fill the layout so it can come back. But other than that, all the other holes are the same. And so it allows to keep that. And then we had an idea of taking up all the old, little concrete foot thingies, I don't know what to call them, and kind of building I guess, around the T sign, kind of just like using all those as kind of a way to like remember the old course and what these were a part of. So it's kind of building it back in again to the course again. So just trying to keep a lot of that old history. So when people come back who were here 5-10 years ago and play the course, they'll still know they can play the same, short 9 holes that they used to know and play. And so, yeah.
The tee pads that are here is the carpet or the turf that you're talking about. What size did you say each tee pad was going to be?
Each tee pad's going to be 4 foot by 8 foot.
8.
4 by 8, yep.
Just out of curiosity, Mike, when we do a bench, isn't that approximately about a 4 by 8 or even bigger concrete slab that we put in? Right. So I'm just guessing, I mean, a couple wheelbarrows load of concrete, brought in, delivered. If we're gonna do all 18 at one time, that's probably quite a few yards of concrete to do 18 pads, but that would weather and hold up, I'm guessing, better and more permanent than the turf. My only concern would be is once we get the layout approved, we might want to start with something temporary to make sure. I mean, you had one event, but maybe let it settle for a summer and see how people like what they do for the disc. The second thing I would have is like just with the proposed layout here, you got 2 baskets just on the north side of the river right there on the opposite side of the covered bridge. I know that's a very popular spot for the kids to go sledding in the winter.
Okay.
So I'm curious about, are those baskets removable? As well as the fact that like we now have the Covered Bridge Fest, the vendors going over there, the Field of Flags going over there. It'd be nice to be able to potentially, if needed for a day or for the winter, to pull one of those baskets.
Yeah, no, the thing is that you're able to, because they come with a basket, comes with a little, well, what you pour concrete into this basket block on the bottom, and then on the pole, the main pole of the basket kind of comes in, and then you put a padlock on it to keep it, and then all you have to do is unlock it, take it off, and just pull it up, and that's how easy it is to pull a basket. And so they're able to be moved super easy, and all you need to do is just have the parks hold the keys and keep that so that the padlocks are able to do that. That's a big thing that's on all the baskets. They have padlocks so that people don't try and steal them, because people do that. People do everything that's not nice. And so
we had talked about in a previous meeting too. We had talked about previous meetings too. There's baskets out there that have kind of the rings around the outside that have places for even more advertising on them.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of opportunity here. I really appreciate all the detail you put into this, the drawing and the invoice, kind of basically your purchase materials, because it looks like everything above the line, which is like 99% of the cost here, other than the $400 for the labor and the fuel, looks like it all could be given back right by the sponsors. So to your earlier point, you're not really looking for the park to invest any money other than the original $400, or try and help find the sponsorship for all those funds above there.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, if you're able to find and fundraise all that money, then you're not having to take it out of your budget, and that's able to go somewhere else. That's able to go to something else that you can use it for, or things like that. And that's kind of the goal, is that we can also put advertisement on the baskets, and that could cover the T sign. So if you sponsor a T sign, it'll be on the basket, and that's something or you sponsor a basket, it's going to be on the T sign. If you sponsor, a T pad, it's going to be on the T sign. And so basically there's a lot of possibilities to kind of get all that money back. And I've done it before. There's courses up in the cities where I've donated a basket, basically paid the price to put a basket in, and then it has my company's name on it. So people know that I donated that basket, and it gives me business. It gives me reputation, and gets me reach in places that I can't get. And so, especially for a local town, it's kind of great to have some places where people see, if they're hungry, and they're like, oh, after a round, we saw that on the T sign. Let's go check that out. It can definitely boost the small businesses around here and kind of give back in the sense that you're not having to give anything out. It's a zero cost kind of endeavor, except for the $400 for the field to go pick up the baskets, and then to put on basically a pizza party and drinks and stuff like that, so that people who come out to volunteer, 25 people at this time, we can get a lot done and hopefully get it all. And the thing is that you're right, we don't have to set up the T pads just yet. You don't have to put them in. The thing is that all you have to do is just put in where the T sign is, and you just have kind of a block of a 2x4 that goes down. That's basically where the front, like how the original 9 have been, with that the little like concrete thing, and that goes right there, and then people are able to play it, able to see how it feels, and you're not having to commit to that concrete, because concrete's permanent and it stays, you know, that's the thing. And so it gives you a chance, and it gives people a chance to play the course and enjoy it, you know, without having to commit to the concrete tee pads. And then maybe also if like something's not working or the design's not working, we're able to change it before, you know, things have gone too far with concrete pouring and things like that. So.
But the baskets would require a concrete base in them right away.
So baskets would require, basically what we do is we take a 5-gallon bucket, you know, Menards bucket, and you basically put the concrete into the bucket and put the, you know, all the stuff, and you put that concrete 5-gallon bucket into the ground. And so if you want to remove it, you just dig around it, pull out that 5-gallon bucket, because it's all together. It's not going to be in a big mess of like just kind of seeping through the ground. It stays in that 5-gallon bucket, so it's easy to like remove those and pick them up and put them somewhere else. And so it's definitely a lot of work in the sense that you have to re-dig it up, and that's always fun. And from experience, I speak from experience, and it's a lot of work, but we have people who love this course, and people who are local, like Kirk, who loved it. You know, he would come out and do stuff like that. He, you know, he's right down his backyard, and you know, he can do something. He wants to take care of this course. There's a lot of people in Zumbrota who really want to be a part of the course, and so yeah.
Mike, do you have any concerns as far as just like a minimal digging or anything like that with a 5-gallon bucket, or there's nothing out there as far as utilities or anything in certain locations? Go for one with all the locations. I guess we'd need to get a little bit more specific on this. I really like the fact that you're utilizing as much of the perimeter as you possibly can and staying away from some of that free space, the soccer space. It's very empathetic to that other sport. So that is awesome. I love the idea of using the south side of the river and coming over here more like towards the Welcome Center and then going across that elevated tee box and shooting across the river. I'm sure that was extremely popular, especially from a photo standpoint. If we ever add things to our website or things like that, the disc golf with the historic covered bridge in the back, I really like that idea. Are you able to take some of your volunteers and go out and pursue some of these sponsors? Or are you looking for us as a park board to task a committee with fundraising all of this?
It's a great question. I think if I can also look for sponsors as well and kind of bring that back to the committee, but I also like, you know, people in Zumbrota who know the businesses around here to be able to kind of go out and reach out to those people and, you know, seek them out, because I live in Manorville, and so I don't know Zumbrota and the small business and the people around here as well as you guys do, and so I think that'd be more effective to have a committee to look for that. But I have people in Rochester and Manorville who are also interested in sponsoring holes and things like that, and so I can also reach out to them and direct them to the committee. You know, whatever email or whatever thing like that they can, you know, reach out to y'all. And
do you have any local players that would potentially want to head up that committee?
Oh, I guarantee you, Kirk, who lives right here in Zumbrota, would love to head that up. I can definitely talk to him and see if he's up for it. He said he's all in on the course. He wants to help. He wants to be an ambassador for the course. So I don't see why he would not want to try and go around and get some small businesses and help fundraise for that. Because then at the end of the day, you're not spending any of your park, you know, board money. It's all going back to the course and able to just be zero cost except for the 400. So yeah, but I think a committee would be better than just me trying to go find out the sponsors, because
would he be willing, or could you ask him to write like a letter kind of introducing what disc golf is?
Yeah.
And then just say, here's an opportunity to support it in Zumbrota with your sponsorship, so that we could have something to give to the business owners who might not understand what disc golf is.
Yeah, I can definitely work with him on that and get something else so that you can hand out a pamphlet that kind of gives you what disc golf is and kind of the benefits and things that make the sport super enjoyable by the majority of the population. It's it's cost effective. It's not expensive to start playing and things like that. So there's a lot of benefits. So I can definitely work with him on that and get that kind of pamphlet ready. And we can start kind of handing those things out and getting, business owners involved in things like that. Because at the end of the day, with that, big plastic board that I was showing you on, I seem to have misplaced, Yes, there it is. I handed it out. That's what I was like, where did I put that?
Something like that I could take into them and say, we've got this really great opportunity at the park.
Yeah.
These guys are willing to do this for this. We need sponsorship. This is what disc golf is.
Yeah. And so it gives them a chance to have, a chance for them to have their advertisement on there for a very long time. It's a long-term investment, and it's not going to cost them that much, to invest in that. And I think definitely I've seen a lot of courses where there's sponsors, and over in Manorville, on my course where I have these T signs as well, I have the Hubble House and other things like that, a lot of local town and things in Casson and Manorville. And I've had people come up and be like, I heard about the Hubble House, and they go head down to the Hubble House and get a meal there because, it's open and everybody loves the Hubble House in Manorville. So I definitely know that it can bring a lot of business into small towns.
I think your sponsorship could actually be an annual thing too. I think you easily could get people to donate that every spring when the course opens back up with a brand new sign. I think you'd have people probably fighting to get in line to sponsor a hole.
Yeah, you can do that as well, because that's all you
do.
Oh, that would be a good idea too.
We as a committee need to vote on it or give Michael permission to go ahead and form a fundraising committee to go out and be stewards.
No, I did not come up. I think it would be a great motion.
Start the fundraising.
And so we can start it. It's not going to happen.
Correct. It's going to take some time.
Going and right.
Yeah, it's a process.
Facilitate what we need to facilitate.
Are there any other questions before I make a motion as far as the addition and the refurbishing of an 18-hole golf course, disc golf course?
I had to look up an image of an advertised basket because I didn't really want billboards in my park.
Yeah.
It looks pretty tasteful. It's just the top ring.
Yeah, it's just the top ring. Yep. It's the thing is that it really doesn't pop out. It's not like a billboard. It's not something that it's an eyesore. It's something that gets lost in the basket until you get up close to it. The same with the tee pads. It kind of gets, lost in the shuffle. You don't really see a white sign, and you think of it as an eyesore. But then you get close enough to it, and you can see that sponsors on that as well. So there's a lot of opportunities for sure.
So when do we want to have the fundraising done by so we can have the install date by?
Well, I think the deadline goes back to when the prices are good for, in my opinion. I mean, if the baskets and all these prices are good for, 3 months, you'd want your fundraising to be done by then. Otherwise, you're going to have to re-quote your pricing back to our earlier discussions. So depending on how long the quote is good for, that's how much time that would be our target. I mean, can it be done yet this fall? I don't see why not.
Yeah. So I know that Dynamic Discs is the distribution company that I go through. They're one of the big ones who they're based out of Emporia, Kansas. And so right now they do not change their basket prices. They change them annually, and they changed them back in May. So back in May, they used to be the baskets that we had now, they used to be 175, and so now they're 200. So, before, I would say 2-3 months, I would have no doubt that the same, because I can just put in an invoice with them and have it on hold as a quote, and then when we're able to receive the funds and money, then it's able to go out and we're able to pay it, and then it's the same invoice, the same quote that we had from the get-go. And so they work with you on that. They take invoices and they do holds on product that you might need. And so I think probably 2 to 3 months. I would say probably the end of September would be a good target date. Maybe the beginning of September, because we have that festival in the fall. And, I know people brought up, hey, what about a disc golf tournament? And I was like, yeah, that's not a bad idea, have a little fun recreational event using a couple of the holes, some of the holes that are not within that big, festival part, and just having a fun day where people can come out and just have a fun time playing as well, so I definitely think if we want to, like, at the end of August, would be a little pushing it, I would think. So maybe like September 10th, I would say, would be a good time, because we would have time to then install like baskets if it gets funded before that. But by that time, there'll be the weekend, and then we have a bunch of people who are committed to coming out, and we could get all the baskets in and the tee signs and then like the tee blocks so that people know where the tee pad is, all in one day, because it's super. Those are the easy parts. The tee pads are the hardest part.
I just think for the sake of the motion, does the date really need to be there? So my proposed motion, unless anybody wants to make one, would be that we give Michael permission to go ahead and contact Kirk to form a committee to seek out fundraising within the community for local sponsorship, to expand the local disc golf, and then have him report back next month and see what kind of interest we've had out there and what kind of, progress has been made. And then we can take it from there with more details.
I will second that motion.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
so much.
Then,
Yes, I'll come back
Okay.
next month. Yeah.
so this is, what month is this?
July.
July. So,
August 1st.
we should be fundraising before next month, though.
Can you email us and say that the
Yeah.
committee's formed and money's starting to
Yep.
come in? And-
Yes, yes.
And then be on the committee. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be helpful, because then we would have a
And we
liaison.
can help as far as, some well-established and actually people within the community that are looking for opportunities to donate. So we probably use ways to start. Okay.
You can give my contact information. I made the motion, I'll fall on the sword.
Okay.
Roy's on the committee.
Once we get the fundraising, that thing, if you could just email it out to everybody so that we would have it, so that you go from yours and then,
So whoever gets.
Yep.
Brandon will run with it.
yep, okay.
So Michael's contact information, you have all that from prior. Yeah. Then we can trade. You can get my email and I can
Yeah,
help you.
for
And once
sure.
you get that rough draft for the pamphlet or the flyer, I can even go out and start knocking on some business doors once we got that too. We'll come back with our tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I play this park a dozen times.
Yeah.
My grandkids play, my son plays it. I'll donate to it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys
Very
for
much.
listening. I appreciate it.
For all your work.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
For me, I forgot one thing.
Yeah.
Before you're done, quickly, this is not a recommendation one way or the other, I'm just bringing it to you as it's my job. I have one parent from the pool, Tiffany Clemenson, who would request a refund for swimming lessons because they ended up planning a vacation during the swimming lessons time and can no longer attend. I'm not saying one way or the other, I'm just bringing it to you as it's my
How much does it cost?
40 minutes.
40 minutes? Since they give them back half, you gotta have some sweat equity. That's my thought.
Totally your guys' deal, I mean, opinion, I'm not saying one or the other, I'm just bringing it to you, it's because I can't issue them.
My opinion is family friendly. We need pool fundraising and a good supportive community, so this,
Just give it back.
unless you need it, that's my opinion.
Is it an interesting motion, I think?
I think I just need a motion.
Make a motion.
Or it's like you're the one that scheduled the vacation, but
See, that's
Here you-
too, like, did you pay for the lessons?
Did you plan the vacation and then you were dumb and paid your lessons and then, put two and two together, but that's just me.
The part about goodwill with the community is probably more important than the $45.
Yes, I agree.
So, is there a motion?
Most people wouldn't ask, so. Mike made the motion.
I will second.
All in favor?
I,
Opposed?
I guess I did one more thing that makes me think of something that you have, and it was on your list, but maybe Brandon already talked to you about it. Somebody went, you know, when we rent out the shelter, we walk and say, hey, has anybody been there the night before? And we'll say yes or no, and sometimes so go set up things. But we had somebody who had the shelter, somebody who was later in the weekend came and put all their things up and would refuse to take them down. Refuse. And so the person went into the shelter. I paid the issue refund. She actually had it in the open shelter. So what we're telling people now, and I just want to make you aware of this, you do not have, I don't care if there's anybody like that, lady coming today, very nice lady. She's like, I have to pay Sunday, is there anybody that's in there Saturday? So, which is different. Because somebody could rent it between now and then, and we've had this situation, and we just have to follow. I just want to make you aware so that we're hard nosed about it right now.
Because generally, there's no refund for that.
Yes, generally, we do not issue refunds for our shelter because it's highly sought after. But we did in this case with this young lady because she really got.
Kind of got screwed.
She did, yeah.
she rented it Saturday.
She rented it like Friday or whatever, the other.
Or Friday, okay.
And she went to the second on Friday, or whatever day it was.
Yeah.
She went and set her stuff up in this place, she already had all this stuff on the setting, and she said, you need to take it down. And she was probably way too nice because I would. Oh, I would have lost.
Marbles. Let's be
I would have
honest.
just used it.
Well, I guess it depends on if it was like a birthday party, but then like the one before was like a retirement party, it'd be weird to have happy birthday decorations.
And she wanted it for 2 days and she wasn't going to go. And she sort of rented it for 2 days.
2 days,
Right,
exactly.
I think Miranda may have blacklisted her too, so. But I just, we're doing that, and if you think it's bad, I want you to say, yeah.
No.
I think it's fair.
No. I think you can, in all honesty, suggest that they need to set up ahead of time, that they can rent it the day before for setup.
Because a lot of the dates, especially the June, July dates, they're out there. They can reserve 1 year exactly in advance.
Right.
Yeah.
Just one more item. We do have the pickleball. And I talked to James. I think he's more than happy to host it over there. I think we need to put a deposit on that. Just to rent it out. It's still kind of tough for him to rent it out over there, to be honest, just because of his hours over there.
Digital box talk, digital locker keypad thing that we can hand out, or do we follow through on that?
I don't think
Too
so.
much?
We talked about the library, city hall, the holes. We talked about all sorts of options, but we never came up with the final one that I recall.
What's a digital lockbox?
At City Hall, you just like email a PIN and then you can enter that.
And you change and program the pin differently.
It's all about hours, you know, it's weekend.
Well, and it is that he couldn't have for return for the, you know, they're gonna be, you know, if they checked out at night, they could be returned the next day. It might be a little difficult, you know, for hours, you know, sometimes it's 11, sometimes noon, I don't know, but, and we can try that, see how it goes. First. And I still think you need a deposit on
Let me do a weekend check.
that. We can't.
Should we make a motion to?
No, just more discussion.
Okay.
Thanks for doing all the hard work, facing the public. Appreciate it.
I did it for 2 years and decided I'd rather work in prison, so I give you props. That's all I gotta say about it.
It's always good. I just always want.
We'll adjourn.
I will motion.
All in favor? Thank you, guys. Nice meeting.
And we're gonna reach out.
Thank you.